This is the video for the first VEX VR challenge, which is the distance drive challenge. There's 3 parts to this challenge, as we can see here. Part 1 is to drive your robot 3 grid squares, and that's what we're going to work on first. So we can stay organized, we're going to rename our project Distance Drive 1. Again, this will help us stay organized. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up our playground. The playground that we're going to be working with on this one is the grid map. As we can take a look at the project, it says 3 grid squares. Each grid square is 200 millimeters. So if I want to drive 3 grid squares, I would multiply that by 3, so that would be 600 millimeters. So I can take a look and hit play, and we can see that my program will run moving those 3 grid squares. If we take a look at the second challenge, we're going to move our robot 6 grid squares, turn around, and drive back 6 grid squares. So again, I would save this project then and rename this distance drive 2. I'm not going to save for the sake of the video, but you would save and then rename it distance drive 2. So in this one, we want to move 6 grid squares. So if each grid square is 200 millimeters, we would multiply that by 6, which would give us 1200 millimeters. And at that point, we want to turn around. So we're going to make a right-hand turn at 180 degrees. And again, we are going to drive back then at those 1200. I can come down here, I can hit play, and again, if you want to look at it from a different camera view of what it's looking like, we drove those 6, we've rotated, and we've came back. Now again, this is where you would save and create a new project, but for my sake, I'm going to do it as 3 right here for the sake of the video, and I'm going to delete those existing blocks. So what we're going to see in this one is we're going to create our VR robot to move 3 grid squares and move it inside of a square. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drive forward that 600 millimeters. To do a square, I'm going to want to make a right-hand turn at 90 degrees. Now, I can duplicate my blocks because I know a square is going to follow these same patterns. So if I duplicate this set of blocks 4 times, we're going to watch this play out, and we're going to see that that square is arrived. Now, in fact, this is a really inefficient way to code this problem. If you go to your control structures, I would challenge you on this distance drive 3 to look at your control structures to realistically cut the coding down to almost a quarter of what it is now by using a control structure.